canción para mi gente, con una pasión tan fuerte. Ay, 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 ay.
Just stepped onto this massive, wide avenue, which seems to be lined with grand, old historic buildings. But honestly, it's a bit hard to tell because I can barely see the pavement. There are just people everywhere. Right in front of us, there is a giant queue. They are waiting in line to touch a bronze bear's butt. Not even a real one. It's a statue of a bear leaning against a strawberry tree. People are just rubbing its rear for good luck, I suppose. Right past the statue is a major transit station, with those big glass dome entrances that look like whale tails or something. I assume it handles the underground metro and commuter trains. It sits right in the middle of this huge, semicircular public square. I have no idea if it's always like this or if it's a special holiday I forgot about, but it is pure madness. It is completely packed. So different from the empty city with 0 people I showed you in my previous video. If you haven't watched that one yet, you seriously need to check it out on the channel because the contrast is hilarious. I have absolutely no clue what is going on here. I don't understand a single word of what's being blasted through the speaker. But behind the crowd, there is this massive brick building with a clock tower. I'm guessing it's some sort of old post office or government headquarters, or at least that's what it looks like based on the heraldry on the wall. And right in front of it is a large bronze statue of a man on a horse, looking out over the square. People are crowded around the base taking selfies. It must be a king or someone important, I guess. Look at that. The scale of the ads here is on another level. It's a pretty bizarre thing to look at while being squeezed here, and it just makes everything feel a bit more chaotic. Okay, let's try to find a way out of this. So I actually just arrived here yesterday. It is quite a shock to the system. Like I said, the video I filmed right before this was in a completely empty city, with literally 0 people on the streets. Seriously, go watch that video if you want to see what actual peace looks like. The contrast between that ghost town and this is completely insane. To be completely honest with you, I usually get overwhelmed by these kinds of popular, highly populated, crowded destinations. I've never actually been to this particular city before for that exact reason. But since it was directly on my travel route anyway, I figured, why not give it a try? That empty city I was just in is not very far away from here at all. Standing here right now, it honestly seems kind of unfair. Why is absolutely everyone here? Why is everyone crammed into this one place while that other spot is deserted? The whole story of how I got here yesterday will be coming up in a completely different video on the channel. So right here is an old church. It's this quite striking 19th century brick building with a very distinct red and white patterned facade. And right ahead of us is a grand stone entrance leading into a central square. It's supposed to be a massive, historic central courtyard. Let's go and check it out. It's just right through that dark stone archway. I don't know, I'm guessing the square has maybe 9 or 10 of these arched entryways scattered around the perimeter. Now we are stepping out into the actual courtyard of the central square. It is just this giant, open rectangle surrounded entirely by uniform, 3-story residential buildings painted in dark red tones. Look at all those endless rows of windows and balconies overlooking the court. I'm assuming they are either boutique hotel rooms, or maybe local residents actually work up there. I honestly cannot imagine how noisy it must be with thousands of tourists constantly shuffling around down here. It makes me miss that empty city from the last video even more. And you have to remind yourself, we are not even in the peak tourist season right now. Just imagine what this square looks like in July or August. It must be completely gridlocked. We are going to exit the square now through another narrow stone gate. Right in front of us, looming in the distance over the rooftops, those two square stone towers really track your attention. I believe that's a prominent historic church down the road. Let's head down that way and check it out for a moment before we make our way over to a famous indoor food market located right next to the square. Hopefully it's a bit less crowded, but I highly doubt it.
Entonces tú pagas.
Right next to the big residential square is this indoor fresh food market. It's housed inside a beautiful early 20th century iron and glass pavilion structure. But honestly, from here, all you can actually see through the glass is a solid wall of human bodies. It is completely packed. Yeah, there's absolutely no chance we are going in there. If I tried to take the camera inside, all you would see on your screen is people's backs and shoulders. It is physically impossible to film a place that is this crowded, let alone try to buy food or find a spot to eat standing up. Let's just keep moving and look for a bit of breathing room. I really pity those poor guys, the horses. They are definitely not in their natural environment here. It cannot be easy for them navigating through all these loud machines, cars, big trucks and tuk-tuks, while walking on hard tarmac. Yeah, and I honestly don't blame them at all. So right here is this really old square, surrounded by highly historic buildings. The architecture looks like a mix of medieval and late Renaissance styles, with beautiful gray stone facades and sharp slate spires. I actually came through here yesterday morning, and it was much quieter back then, but you'll see all of that in a future video. Let's head now to somewhere hopefully a bit more peaceful. But before we do that, if this central district is this incredibly overcrowded, it raises a big question. How does the main central train station look like? Is it just as chaotic as these streets? Let's go and find that out. Right across this massive, multi-lane highway of a street is the city's main terminal train station. But honestly, looking at the endless stream of traffic, how on earth do we even get over there? Okay. This looks like it might double as an underpass to cross the street. Well, that was a failure. It's a total dead end unless you pay. It just leads straight into the metro ticket barriers. I'm finally getting a bit closer to the station, but there is heavy construction happening all around the area. The historic main facade is almost completely obstructed by scaffolding and plastic barriers. Look at the sheer length of this brick and iron building. It's the original 19th century terminal building, and it is absolutely massive. I'm honestly not sure if it's currently undergoing a massive renovation, or if we are even allowed to enter this part. Actually, from what I can read on these white construction signs, it looks like this entire historic terminal building is temporarily closed right now for a major remodel. I have no idea if this is supposed to be the main entryway, but it's honestly pretty disappointing. It just looks like a standard chaotic transit hub filled with standard shops, ticket machines. But look up at the ceiling. The advertising billboards here are just crazy. Look at that, what? Seriously? Dome-like promotional banner hovering right over everyone's heads. Yep, I am just getting out of here. As you can see, you can't really film that much in here. It's just a wall of people rushing past, and you definitely can't find a clear way into the old terminal building. I've heard and actually seen videos online showing that there is a massive indoor tropical garden with palm trees inside that original terminal, but since it's entirely shut down for renovations, we are out of luck. So, I've made my way over to the Grand National Art Museum. I'm standing right in front of this massive brick and stone building, near a large stone monument dedicated to a classical painter. I'm assuming this is the main facade, with its massive neoclassical columns and the large statue of the artist seated right in the middle, looking out over the wide boulevard. Let's walk around to the side facade. The vibes here are a bit different. There are local street artists lining the pathways, displaying their own paintings for sale. But look at these ticket queues. They are absolutely insane. I've said it before, but we are not even in the peak travel season yet, and it's already like this. Right here on the esplanade, there's a fascinating group of bronze sculptures featuring multiple human figures. If I have read the information plaque right, it's a contemporary installation of figures sitting together, seemingly laughing hysterically at one another, and one of them is hanging completely upside down over the edge. It's a pretty bizarre, surreal thing to look at while standing in line. If you look right up there on the hill, overlooking the modern glass extension of the building, you can see a striking, historic Gothic church towering right over the complex. Let's have a closer look at it. Right over here, we have another entrance to the museum tucked into the lower brick level. We are walking away from the Gothic church now, and right in front of us is the classical facade of another grand building, right near a marble sculpture monument. I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing it's another museum building, or maybe an annex connected to the main art complex down the hill. It sits just a block or two up the slope behind the main gallery we just saw. I know that just beyond this building lies the city's premier historic park. It's this massive, famous green space right in the middle of the urban area. But exploring that giant park will have to wait for a future video on the channel. For now, let's head over toward a grand municipal palace at the end of the avenue. Looks like this grand complex of two massive connected buildings with these striking, bright white ornate facades. It's supposed to have some incredibly interesting architecture to check out. To get there, we get to take a lovely walk right down this wide, tree-lined boulevard. Hopefully the thick trees will give us a bit of a break. It is a really beautiful avenue, completely shaded by these massive ancient trees. You can see a few grand stone fountains and monuments along the center pedestrian aisle, which splits the heavy traffic on either side. We've reached the very end of the boulevard now, and there it is. The castle-like municipal palace. It looks like this towering, intricate white structure with all these spires and a massive central clock tower. But right here at this end of the promenade, before you can even cross to it, it's just a hub of city infrastructure. There's a transit information point to our left, a newsstand, kiosk, public restrooms, and a bunch of digital bus signs. Getting a bit closer to the Grand Junction, the palace looks even more impressive. From what I understand, it used to be the central postal headquarters, but now it serves as the main city hall. You can definitely notice that it is much quieter here compared to where we started earlier at the beginning of the video. The square is so much more open, giving you actual breathing room. If we look to the right down that wide, radiating street, just at the end of the block, a couple of 100 meters away, there is this massive stone triumphal arch standing right in the middle of a major roundabout. Let's walk over and quickly check it out, and then we will turn right back around to walk this main avenue all the way back to the crowded central square where we began. So I am back near the Grand White Palace and starting the walk down the main avenue. This is the long street that leads all the way back to the busy central square where we started our tour. As we walk down, you really start to see some of the city's most iconic architectural landmarks. Over on the left is the massive, fortress-like building of the central bank. Just ahead, right where the avenue forks, is a highly famous early 20th century office building. It's got that incredible, bright white facade and a massive round corner tower covered in gold leaf decorations with a dark winged statue on top. I'm assuming it's so popular with tourists just because of how dramatic it looks against the sky. I'm thinking it must have been an insurance headquarters or an old palace, but I'm honestly not entirely sure. As we get closer to the fork, you can also see another grand classical building with a distinct clock tower. You can definitely tell that it is starting to get way more crowded again. The quietness of the palace square is completely gone. I hope you guys have enjoyed this chaotic walkthrough of the city center. It's a beautiful city, even if it's a bit overwhelming. But before I finally head back to the hotel to collapse, I wanted to detour to one more spot. Check out this impressive engineering. It's a towering viaduct that spans right over a deep street valley way down below. It features these huge clay-lined arches that look very stately. Walking across it actually gives you a clear path right toward the Grand Royal Palace complex behind us now, which we will definitely explore in a future video. Instead of going toward the palace, I'm walking down to check out a very interesting building I spotted on Google Maps earlier. Right after you clear these steps, you run right into this basilica. It has this incredibly unique convex facade that curves outward toward the narrow street, which is a pretty rare example of Western Baroque style here. Looking at the front, it's decorated with these beautiful statues of saints tucked into stone niches. Now I'm just wandering through a maze of completely random, narrow side streets. I have absolutely no idea where I am going right now, but I'm just enjoying the heavy shade and the relative coolness trapped between these buildings. It's a nice break from the sun. Walking through these narrow pathways, you really notice how the buildings are built so close together. It actually seems incredibly clever because it completely blocks out the direct glare of the intense southern sun, keeping the walkways shaded. I just caught a glimpse of this beautiful brick facade from a distance, so I wanted to peek at it, but honestly, my legs are done. I am staying at this lovely little place tonight. It is still quite early in the afternoon, but I am absolutely knackered from dodging thousands of people all day. See you in the next video.